talk to us about how your faith has impacted your art.
Mm, that's a really great question because my I would not be an artist if it wasn't for faith. I so as I was saying, I dropped out of uni uh, uh, as a freshman dropout, and I moved back home. And parents, immigrant Korean parents, were like, "He's a failure. He needs to do something." And in I think 2003, I after working for my parents about 2 years, I like decided that I'm no longer going to be an artist. I like they threw out some of my sketchbooks that they had found. I took some of my artwork and I just took it to the local park and I burned it because I was
Mm.
like, this is actually not making my parents happy, and I don't actually know who I am and what I'm doing. So I'm just going to follow their lead versus follow what God is calling me to do.
Wow.
And so and I worked labor, I did construction, I got a nail certification for nail salon technicians. I was going to open my own, I do manicures, pedicures, hand massages, back massages. I worked as a USPS postal worker. I have done in Essex, Connecticut. I have done basically everything under the sun in construction because my parents were in real estate. So I was just working for them and just slaving away. And so about 8 years of just doing that, I was a part of Elm City Vineyard where Matt Crosman was the head pastor of the church. Had a huge art community. I didn't realize that Yale University has one of the best MFA programs in the country. And so I was surrounded by these brilliant and amazing painters and artists and all this stuff. And they did an artist circle and they were like, Shin, you should try. And I was like, oh, I'll just cook for you guys. I'm pretty good at cooking. So I was like, I'll cook for y'all. And they're like, no, if you come to this thing, you have to draw something. So I had a marker and I had a pen, and that was all I had, and some cardboard. And I drew on something, and they were like, Shin, that's ridiculous. And I'm like, no, 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 this is nothing. And they're like, no, this is like something. Uh, and then it was just like encouragement after encouragement from friends. And then it was like one of those weird God moments that you can't really explain. So I was a part of a different church, not a part of Matt's church. And I was doing college ministry basically. And some of the students would store stuff in my storage unit and they would pick it up eventually, or I'd throw it away or whatever. One of my students, their little brother was sent back to Korea to do his military service. So I just held on to his stuff. He went to an art school. I didn't really think about it. And then years passed, and this bag is like tall. Like this is like one of those like black bags with wheels
Right.
that you like immigrant bags as we call it, right? In Korean, like I was like, I was just starting to get into this thing, and I was like, you know what? Maybe let me just look at it. It's been there for 7 years. I haven't touched it. Let me open it up. So I open it up. It is like 1,000 pump. I guys still don't know what some of that stuff is. Like, I don't know what this clip does. Like, what does this clip do? And I was like, this is stealing. This is someone else's stuff. Even though it hasn't been touched for 7 years, it is not my stuff. So I reach out and like, hey, like, do you need this? And they're like, I graduated uni. I'm in Korea doing just fine. You can keep it. So I landed like one of these. There's this huge box of Copic markers. They're about $7 per marker.
Right.
There's three giant cases of these. And I'm like, I think, Lord, you're calling me to
Yes.
draw. So then I'm like, I'm drawing and I'm like, this is the way I'm supposed to draw is not to be famous. A friend of mine prayed over me, like during that transitional time from working to creating, he said, like, your gifts are all going to come together and be a blessing for the large C church. And I was like, oh, I don't know. At the time I was like doing nail salon stuff, and I was transitioning into like being a mailman, and I was like, and I have a prayer gifting. I like love praying for people. And I was like, I don't know how these things are going to come together. They just don't look right. And I just started feeling like my art and my prayers are just going to just kind of weave into each other, and that's how I create.